the false teachings of Bashar, or Darryl Anka, or channeled by Darryl Anka. I want to say that in a way I'm actually kind of thankful in a way for the very entertaining presentation that he gave about spirituality and the show he made and the interactions with people, because Darryl Anka is a person who goes into a trance state and then channels like other beings, which are like gray aliens. The story behind it is kind of weird, but it's pretty interesting and it's pretty entertaining, and it was pretty funny, and he says a lot of good things. However, there's a real something that's just really wrong in the teaching, and something that I have suffered from a lot, like kind of unconscious, like it was in the back of my head for a long time, as a sort of worry or confusion from his teaching. Like, I started watching his shows when I was about 16. I had a really deep mushroom trip that I got into, and then I got interested in spirituality, and I was in a pretty vulnerable place. Someone had died, and I didn't want to go to school anymore, so I just watched him for years, and like every day for maybe years, like 2 hours a day or something, or more. I just watched the show and all these videos, and it was because it was so fascinating, and it was also entertaining, and but it was also like a part of kind of a new age hype of special experiences, and meeting aliens, or astral travel, or law of attraction, or words that you can like magically create anything you want if you just somehow have the right state of mind. And there is some truth to that in a way, if you're I don't know, very charismatic, or actually there's not really truth to it. You can't do anything that you want. You just can't. I mean, it should be so obvious given your experience, but somehow we like to believe that you kind of can. And I think it comes from a lot of people who, they want to be special, they want to have it all, and someone like that promises that they can do that if they just listen, if they just understand the right teaching, and it's just not true. It's like, if I can just have my mind tuned right enough, I can just effortlessly get all the money I want and do all the things I want. And I mean, I would actually say that's kind of true, because what we want is like basically a simple, fulfilling life where we can love people, be with loving people, and enjoy like good things like parties, like dancing, or community in nature, or whatever. And all these things are obviously quite possible. So, but I don't know what people would want. I guess it's just the people that spoke to Bashar is kind of a mismatch of, or like a mixture of people who are kind of confused and who want, or just crave some sort of things for themselves, as a sort of probably like a sort of just a typical human kind of primal mindset of wanting things for themselves, I think, and then be very special, and be very high rank up or something like that, and be seen as something very special and have a lot of things. And there may not even be something so wrong with that per se, but it's just not what life is about. It's gonna make you happy, or is even true that you can just do everything you want. You know, have a Ferrari, have a really big house if you just have the right mindset. That's kind of what they promise, and what Bashar even promises, like this supposedly higher entity that channels through a human and that says these things. It's just, there's just a lot of bullshit in it. And things that I suffered from for years, like the idea that somehow you, if you just believe strong enough, you can just create anything you want. And there might be some truth to it, but in a way of like, it's like doing magic. But the thing is, we also live in a physical reality with rules to them. Obviously, it's so obvious that this is so. Like, you cannot imagine anything and then it appears. Even in theory, if you could do that, it wouldn't mean that you can manifest a house or money. That goes through relationships, through people, and you cannot. I mean, there is the experience that you have your own thing and they have their own thing, and if you try with your own thing really hard to try and change things or basically manipulate the outside reality, that's not how it works. I mean, obviously, and 10 years ago, The Secret was so popular. Like, it was the same thing, just believe so strongly that you can have the big house and big car and you will get it. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, everyone has heard it, even, this kind of teaching, and all the hippies would be so stoned rich right now. And it's just not true. It just doesn't work that way. And that's okay, because as far as I know, the teaching of enlightenment, which I have good faith in, or even some experience, it's like that everything is suffering. Like, all the things you can have, the food, maybe even sex, what else? Just the ordinary things, they're not fulfilling, they're not. It's just boring, kind of, or unsatisfactory, or only for a short time. It's nice, I don't know, but that's okay, and that's great to learn, because there is a higher truth, which is God. It's like the Jesus kind of archetype, like God and love, or the Buddha, meditation and rest, that you can just feel content and peaceful and happy. Spirituality, basically, religion even, basically, is what that is about, and why that's so popular. And because it works, there's truth to it, and it is the most profound thing that there is. But Bashar, there's so much bullshit in that. Like, here's a quote: everything is energy, and that's all there is to it, and that's true. Match the frequency you want, and you cannot help to get that reality. It can be not one other way. This is physics. Yeah. This implies that if you just believe something strong enough, right, match the frequency of the reality you want, that then it must occur. No. Because life doesn't give a fuck what you want. If some little small guy in some city really wants a Ferrari and a successful job, he can work for it and maybe you get it. But it just doesn't work that way. It's like the idea of that you can become some super yogi and then make your whole reality. In theory, even that's possible. But you don't do that alone. And you have to work with other people and other relationships. That's just the way it is. And that's okay, because life is about love, right? So